Slide. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tim Morris, and I am the chair of the Mission Committee for the American Lung Association. And let me welcome you to the Community Connections series, made possible by a grant from the Burr Clinic and the Burr Heart and Lung Clinic at the Sharp Grossman Hospital, as well as the San Diego Foundation. As I said, my name is Tim Morris, and I am the chair of what is called the Mission Committee for the American Lung Association in San Diego. And our committee is made up of local experts in healthcare and environmental health. And we have an eclectic group which try to help the Lung Association with advising it and helping it fulfill its mission. And we will typically start off with a message from Tony Gwynn Jr. I'm not sure if Tony is available at this point. If not, we'll just move on. I don't think he is there. That's all right. Well, let me introduce you to the concept of the community connections. Oh, are we here? There he is. I don't know if we're getting a sound on him though. What? Okay, here we go.
The American Lung Association has been saving lives by preventing lung disease and promoting lung health in our local communities for more than 100 years. And today, achieving health equity is at the core of everything we do. We believe everyone should have the same chance at healthy lungs and clean air, but we all know that too often those families with the most to lose get the least access to quality health care, the finest hospitals, and even clean air. This is one reason we've launched Community Connections, free, interactive conversation with San Diego healthcare professionals and medical experts on the health topics most affecting our communities. My fellow board member, Dr. Tim Morris of UCSD, likes to call them dinners with doctors. For more information about weekly topics and more, please visit lung.org/events. I hope to see you there.
Well, thank you, Tony. And again, I'm Tim Morris, and I'm going to introduce a series to you. This is a series of hour-long discussions that happen every Wednesday night for a string of Wednesdays. We've already talked a bit about COVID-19 across the border between San Diego and Tijuana. We had a wonderful talk by Captain Lowry and Captain Brainerd having to do with emergency responders in COVID-19. Last week, we spoke about lung cancer screening with Dr. Bagheri from Sharp Grossman Hospital, as well as Dr. Fuster and Dr. Montgrain from UCSD and the VA Medical Center. In the future, we'll be talking about COVID-19 among children, adolescents, and college students, a bit about biology of COVID-19 infection, the San Diego County's response to COVID-19, and we'll end up with a really nice session about the lung health, diet, and mindfulness. But today we have a very special treat for you. We are discussing the healthcare effects of the wildfires, and we have assembled a panel of experts here. My fellow Mission Committee member, Captain Alma Lowry from San Diego Fire and Rescue, her colleague, Captain Brent Brainerd from San Diego Fire and Rescue. I keep on calling Captain Lowry Dr. Lowry. I'm not sure why, maybe because she speaks so intelligently about things. Then Officer, okay, all right. I'm giving out more medical degrees. Officer Marcy Garcia, also from San Diego Fire and Rescue, and then Brian D'Agostino, who is the Director of Fire Science and Client Adaptation for San Diego Gas and Electric. So we'll start off with Dr. Lowry, or Captain Lowry.
Thank you, Dr. Morris. I appreciate the grand introduction. I wanted to introduce also Captain Brent Brainerd. He is in charge of our health and wellness for firefighters. and also Marcy Garcia. She is our code compliance supervisor. She is our senior code compliance supervisor. So she'll be able to answer any very specifics in the Q&A when we have that. Brent and I are going to tag team this very, very, very quick presentation we have for you about wildfires and wildland safety, and also safety when you do evacuate. So here we go.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Brent Brand. Like Alma said, I work in the Health and Safety Office. So Alma and I were able to put together this presentation, and basically what we're going to do is give you an overview of basically the 2021 wildfire season, where we're at, kind of the fire, show you some photos, so kind of set the stage, and then give you some really useful tools for your toolbox for if and when the big wildfire happens in our region, how to be prepared. So the 2021 fire season, we have 2.4 million acres that burn. Just for put in perspective, Rhode Island, the state of Rhode Island is only 1.6 million acres. So we are well beyond that. It's 8,100 incidents. So that could be the small, like 1 to 2 acre grass fires that we all go on, or it could be the Dixie and the Calder, which is what Captain Lowry and I will go over. We've had 3 fatalities this year and about 3,600 structures. Let's see. Sorry, my computer's acting weird. Active wildfire. So this was as of yesterday. A couple of things to show you. We are actually, the state's doing really good. Northern California, typically what happens, Northern California burns, Southern California burns second. Right now we're in the lull. Typically there's a lull between Northern California and Southern California, and that's where we're at right now. And Brian from SDG&E will get into like the weather and all the patterns and stuff. But right now, if you could see, this was as of last night when I pulled it. Anything pretty much above 50% means they're in the mop-up stage. So you can see it's like 82 to 95%. So this isn't the time where we sit here saying, yay, we're done. It's the, okay, things are going good right now, but we still need to be prepared. Alma, do you have anything?
No, so the containment, those containment numbers, like Captain Brainerd was saying, there's still crews out there working, and they are doing that nice thick wet line and dozer lines around the entire perimeter of that fire that has burned. So these, unfortunately, these brush / complex fires that we do have, take quite a while to do the cleanup and mop up.
Yeah, and take a look at this. These are a lot of the fires that are getting mopped up, like Dixie Fire. That's actually the next fire to talk to. We're almost 1 million acres, and there's a little something about that, and the Calder we'll talk about in a second. But we're looking. This is not small fires we're talking about. 97,000, 200,000, 200,000. Just for perspective, the one that burned out in East County on the Alpine area, I think it was last season. That was only like 13,000 acres. It wasn't. So when you put it in perspective, that there's only one fire right here that's smaller than that. That was the smallest fire, and that was only 13,000 acres. And you saw the impact it had to our community. The Dixie Fire. This is, I want to spend a couple minutes talking about this. 963,000 acres. It's the single largest fire in our state's history. There's been other fires that we call complexes. So a series of fires within a geographical location, put them together, we've had a couple over 1 million acres. But this, as far as the single largest start of a fire, it's the largest in our state's history. It started on July 13th, and it's still going. It's only 95% contained. They're still working on that. Basically, I want to show you, since we're talking a lot about the wildfire smoke, this is the what we call the plume, what gets put up by the fire. And this, for perspective, this was the Dixie Fire right here. And as you can see, this was taken, I actually pulled this from NASA. NASA was the one that snapped this photo. So that's what they were seeing all the way up in space. So this is a good perspective of how, basically how far the smoke can go And I believe Brian's going to talk about how like smoke from other areas come down and start affecting our pollution. Let's see. Want to put this one in. This was one of the towns that burned. The Dix fire actually burned through several towns. I just more want to do this for, as you can see, you can't even read street signs. You can barely see down the street. So this at the peak is how dense the smoke can get within an Alma.
Like Brent was saying, firefighters that are working on the front lines are dealing with this day in and day out. And we do have respiratory protection that we wear, but it's called a hot shield, and it is only minimal protection for us. There's actually a lot more to go into for the firefighter side and the health and wellness side when it comes to the firefighter health. But for residents and visitors in this area, this is when you want to evacuate and you want to go to where the wind is not blowing the smoke into, and make sure you're in a air conditioned or a filtered house or area that has the particulate filters on, like an air conditioning unit or a heating unit or something like that. So this is a great example of it's almost like a fog. So
yeah. So the Caldor fire is the other fire I wanted to talk about, and which kind of bring up because it was up in the Lake Tahoe region, and there's a couple very pointed pictures that I'm going to show you next. This one was 200,000 acres. At one point, this was the #1 priority. I forget how they talk, forget the actual name. I tried looking it up, I couldn't find it, but it was for a national resource. The #1 priority in the United States was to keep this out of the Lake Tahoe Basin. They threw more resources at this to prevent it from hitting the Lake Tahoe Basin, because they knew once it started there, thousands of lives would get lost, thousands of homes. It would just be an utter devastation. And they were very successful in doing that. And the one thing I keep wanting to point out, yeah, there's these large fires, but look how long they go. We're in October, starting to bump November, and the fires are they're still working these fires. So it's just because we're getting towards the end, stuff still is going on. And I believe almost talking about how evacuate early and talk about it, if you want to talk about that.
Sure. So this is a great example of evacuation. I believe this is like South Lake Tahoe. I see the merge up ahead.
Yeah, the wire.
Yep. So when you evacuate, make sure that you stay in your vehicle, turn your recirculating on. It's that little arrow that is in a circle, and that will recirculate the air that's in your car, but you're going to let that filter in your car do all the work. Try not to roll your windows down, listen to instructions. Your smartphone is going to be the best thing for evacuation, for directions as well. So just stay calm, know everybody's in the same boat with you, and just try to be kind to each other. Everybody, like I said, is in the same boat.
A couple other photos. This is down by the casinos. I just want to show how dense the fog is. That's the main intent behind this photo. And this was the other one that, this photo was the one that took a lot of people. They didn't realize how bad it was up in Lake Tahoe. But basically that's the lake, and that's looking out. That's where Emerald Bay is supposed to be. But because of the dense fog, you couldn't even see across. And Lake Tahoe, my family and I vacationed there for 25 years. And it's known for its cleanliness. And the fact that you can't even see across the lake is pretty devastating. So basically now we get to, so we wanted to set the stage of what we've had this year, how big it's been. Every year we're setting records. It used to be like we cracked 1 million acres in the fire season. It was like, oh my gosh, it's the worst. And now we're having fires go for 1 million acres. So what can you do? And that's kind of the nexus behind us. So we have a couple slides that talk about specifics of what you can do, and then how to be ready, set, go. And that's our department's motto. So we're going to cover each one of these areas. So this first one is going to be the air index, avoid breathing, basically masks, what masks can and shouldn't wear, the filters, and then clean air. Up at the top is the airnow.gov. You can go on there, you can type in your current zip code, and it'll provide this. And basically every one of these has different like things of what you should do. Like if you look down in yellow, sensitive children and adults should refrain from outdoor activities, things of that nature. Alma?
This is a great thing to save in your favorite section and to look at every day. And on your smartphone as well, if you're concerned and worried, and if you're in that range for the sensitive children and sensitive adults, those with asthma, those with lung problems, it's a good thing to have in your back pocket to check every morning.
So one of the things that people are like, well, how big is smoke? Like the particles, because it's going to set up for what we're going to do next. This is how big smoke is. It's smaller than the diameter of the human hair. So it's the main, so the particulate matter is the big, this is what goes into our lungs. This is what goes into it, like especially with the firefighters, are increasing for cancer when we're breathing that. That's why when we're talking about evacuations, or when you hear on the radio, you're in an evacuation warning, or you're in a mandatory evacuations, it's multiple reasons, but one of them is also the health matter, because when we sit there and one of the things Alma and I for our duties are, we go and we evacuate neighborhoods when fires are coming, and we're doing it. We're not only doing it for, okay, spread a fire, make sure firefighter gets access in, but we're also looking at where's the fire going to be to prevent stuff like this from you getting exposed to what we're already getting exposed to, because we have the protection, and we, that's one of the things we hammer on, but we want to make sure that you are protected also. See, so how do you protect yourself from smoke? Like what Alma said was, check the air quality, keep your doors and windows, recirculate your air, and constantly get a new air filter. Use a CARB certified air cleaner. So that's one of the things you put in your room. You press a button, it makes noise, and cleans your air. Avoid vacuuming, food frying, or gas powered appliances. That's more for the carbon monoxide. And then wear an N95 mask.
So this N95 mask is something great to keep it in. You can do a Ziploc bag, have it in your go bag, which is your emergency keep with you, but have enough for your family. Have a spare also in case they get squished or stepped on. You want the ones with that double strap on there, so you can have a nice tight seal all the way around the nose and all the way around the mouth. And sorry, I just spoke ahead, Brent.
Go for it.
So this is like choose the right smoke mask. And those cloth coverings that we've been using for our time in COVID aren't going to cut it. You do need that N95 respirator, and it will say on the box N95. Yeah.
And then what Alma was saying, was talking about how the proper way to wear it. There is a proper way. Don't do the one like just the one over the top so it's easy to move up and down. The two, it's designed for a reason. See, and then the final slide, then I'll move it over to the Ready, Set, Go, where it talks a little bit more about your house, is create that cleaner airspace, close the windows, have the filter, keep the AC in, your fans on recirculating. You can use a damp cloth or mop to like actually bring all the particles in. But the one thing we were going to talk about on the Ready, Set, Go is evacuate before you're even told to. Listen to the radio. We're going to provide some great resources over here on this next slide. So like what we were talking about, remember some of those photos we were showing everybody? We have over 500 linear miles of wildland urban interface. That's where, as you can see on here, the wildland urban interface is where the house meets the brush. With over 500 miles of that, you can see that we have a great potential in the San Diego, that's in the city, that's not even counting the county and all the way out through all the different areas. So within the city of San Diego, just to give a perspective, we have about 2 million people, Alma, within the city?
Yeah, approximately in the county. Yeah, we're 1.4-ish for just the city. And outer line, we're almost at 2 million. So there's a lot of people here. It's a lot of evacuations potential.
Yeah, and if you look at it, of those big, we have 290 firefighters on duty. So as you see, when we're trying to evacuate an area or something, that's why it becomes very important that you are able to be self-reliant, so that you can leave the more significant vulnerable populations to the firefighters. So when we're going and doing evacuations, we're not having to assist the people who can get out, but we're able to go in, help the wheelchair down, the different independent or assisted living facilities, things like that when there's a wildfire coming. The biggest thing is we're going to hear about preparedness. Let's see, be prepared for the threat. Have the family disaster plan. And you had some great topics on that, Alma.
Yeah, this is something that can be definitely pre-planned with your family. Important documents, have them all in one place if they're in a safe upstairs, downstairs, but have it ready to roll. Have a backpack or a zippered bag ready with medications that you're going to need, especially inhalers, asthma medications, anything that you're going to need for at least 3 days. Don't forget your pets also. Pets are important too. Evacuate with enough dog food, their leashes in the kennel. If it's a feline, also the same thing. Birds, hamsters, I mean, you name it, horses. Be prepared. Have a plan with your family. I mean, we are not just the city, we're the county, and we get into the large animals as you start to expand out into the county. So know your neighbors, have a plan. That's all I can say. Brent, you probably have some other great tips too.
Yeah, the biggest thing is the meeting place in emergency contacts. Always have the meeting place. So that way, when you do see the big red come rolling up, it's like, hey, is everybody accounted for? Because that's always our first concern. And if you sit there and say, yes, I have my family, it's like, okay, you evacuate. We know that the house is covered and we can't account for that. Defensible space. Marcy will be on later that has some great topics about this, but know that there is defensible space. You need to have this. So when Alma and I come up and as the captains on the fire engines, we literally have about 10 to 30 seconds to assess each house. So if you have good defensible space and some of these other things we talk about, it makes it where when we decide to commit resources, which is like our engine company or talk to other crews, that if we have a house with good defensible space and some of these other things we'll talk about, we'll be more inclined to do that, because when we're looking and going down triage, when there's like the 290 firefighters on duty, when we're looking to properly deploy them, we can't sit there and put one on every house because of the limitation of the resources. So what we do is we triage for the greatest good success. I like this part where it says fire harden your home. So when you're going around, take a look at what burns. How do you protect your house? How do you get stuff that burns away from your house? When you're looking at what type of roofing do you have? Do you have shake shingle? Do you have composite? There's a lot of things that go into it. So create the defensible space. Get the stuff away from your house. Go ahead, Alma.
I like Brent was saying, wood piles, patio furniture, you name it. It's found up against the house, and then unfortunately, those fences, wooden fences that do fall and they fall inward, heat and smoke rises. So fortunately, the eaves sometimes will start the entire house on fire. And just if you don't have good defensible space, it's not a good recipe at all.
The ember threat. This is kind of, we're starting to repeat some stuff we said, so we'll move along. But like the stuff up on the houses, this is like where you want to keep your house clean. A lot of the stuff. Keep the iridium, sort of like exactly what Alma was saying. These wood piles, you want to keep them away from your house. You don't want stuff butting up against your house that could cause more of a fire. Maintenance, absolutely, you want to keep the brush away. There are a lot of codes and stuff that Marcy will be able to definitely expand upon, but as far as like defensible space, what you can and you can't do, but just keep that in mind. And you want to talk about this, being the community resource officer, Alma?
Absolutely. So on your cell phones, there's actually in the government, there's a tab for government and all the amber alerts that it's in your phone, on your smartphone. Make sure that it is clicked green or it's clicked on. I know in the iPhones, it's going to be a little tab that you touch and it'll turn green when it's turned on. But go into your settings and make sure that you have all the government notifications turned on your cell phones. Listen to the news, listen to, if you have Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or any of that, a lot of news is deciphered out on Twitter. So a great resource to have. Oh,
yeah.
Right along. Yeah, I keep jumping ahead. Sorry, Brent.
No, go ahead. This is your area.
Yeah. Yeah, so the Ready, Set, Go. I believe that we're going to be able to put that in the chat, so all of y'all can either download it if you want, print it at home, or read it online. It's a great resource. So we did have that added, hopefully, into the chat. If not, it is on our City of San Diego website under the Fire Department section under Wildfire Preparedness.
One of the things we kind of showed you in the picture for the South Lake Tahoe fire, and we're wrapping it up right now, is leave early. Don't get caught in the fire, have multiple routes of escape. That was the one thing when they were trying to evacuate South Lake Tahoe. There's only like 1 or 2 ways out. One of those ways was through the fire, which they couldn't, which really limits the area. So watch the news, listen to everything Alma said, because you don't want to get caught in the fire, first off, but you don't want to get caught because you can't leave because everybody's trying to leave, like we showed you in that photo. That happened this year. So give your family the best chance of survival and avoid trying to get caught in that. Do you have anything else with that?
Nope.
And then take your emergency supply kit. It's everything Alma was saying. And then the final local information, if you want to finish up with this one.
Sure. These are all of our news sources. They're some great resources to take down. Just type in San Diego Fire Rescue, especially on our Instagram and Twitter pages, and you'll find us there. And like I said, our website is another great resource. So does that wrap it up, Brent?
That's the last one.
Last one. Okay.
Yeah.
And I know Marcy Garcia is going to be available I know we're going to probably have some questions at the end for her in regards to like getting down into the literal, the weeds with the trimming and pruning and defensible space. So I know we're going to toss it over to Brian from SDG&E.
Yeah, thank you so much, Captain Lowry and Captain Brainerd. Really a pleasure to kind of follow up here and take a little bit of a different view at this. So I am a meteorologist. I'm the Director of Fire Science and Climate Adaptation for SDG&E. And I will begin to share my screen. And we will get into the presentation where really I want to give a situational awareness update and then also take a look at our drought and our fire season. So what we're going to look at here is I did want to start with San Diego wildfire history. And then we will get into the drought update. We'll take a look at the Santa Ana season outlook, because as we know, I mean, this week is the history of the 2003 Cedar Fire here in San Diego. So we are at the peak of our, Santa Ana wind potential right now. And then I do want to get into some live links and show you where you can go on the internet to get some really valuable information to keep your situational awareness front and center. But first, looking at the San Diego County wildfire history, it is a long one. And there are many, many large fires. I went back here to 1900 and listed every fire 40,000 acres or greater. And as you can see, it is a long history here in San Diego. So as we heard from Captain Lowry and Brainerd, right, with that wildland urban interface and these large fires, preparedness here is so important in San Diego, because it really is just a matter of time, because our native vegetation does burn. It burns cyclically, and it's been doing that for over 100 years. We have been seeing a trend, though. These fires are getting larger. So as we heard, right, the fires in Northern California are getting larger, but we started seeing that here in San Diego. Of course, with mega fires in 2003 and 2007, and then we saw the 2014 fires, and then even the Lilac fire in 2017. Right, they're happening out of that normal historical October or late September timeframe. Right, as our climate continues to shift and change, and rainfall is shifting a little bit, we're seeing that fire potential later and later into the season. So something we do have to continuously be prepared for. Drought is a major driver of wildfire risk across the West. And this year, drought has really expanded across the Western United States. Last year at this time, 47% of the Western United States was under moderate drought or higher. That has increased to an astonishing 93% of the Western states currently designated as moderate drought or higher. And California, it's a similar story. 68% last year at this time was in moderate drought or higher. And we are now a full 100% of California designated moderate drought or higher. And down here in San Diego County, we're more in the moderate drought, but as we head north across the Sierras and a lot of those same places where we were seeing the images of the big plumes from the Dixie Fire, those are the places under the exceptional drought. And we see the impact that that has on the vegetation and how readily that vegetation burns under these conditions. Now, some of the latest information from the National Weather Service is that we'll likely see a little bit of drought relief across the Pacific Northwest as we head through this upcoming winter, and we're already starting to see some indications that quite a bit of rainfall is heading in that direction. But we'll keep our fingers crossed that we do see some improvement across the northwestern part of the United States, but down here in the southwestern part of the United States, the drought is forecast to persist through this winter and into next year. But we have actually seen some rainfall. As many of you have noticed, it's been anomalous, right? With several bouts of thunderstorms through late September into early October, dropping widespread ½ to 1 inch of rain. And then even follow-up rainfall the beginning of last week, where we saw additional measurable rainfall, especially across North County. Now, overall, this has been beneficial for our service territory. And if we look at the map there on the left, that gives you 30-day rainfall across San Diego County and where we are with our percent of normal for the last 30 days. So you can see down here across San Diego, the thunderstorms that delivered quite a lightning show that I'm sure most of us remember, that put us at over 200% of our normal precipitation over the last 30 days. So that is beneficial, right? If you look at what that means from a number standpoint, it's over 1 inch in most places, or close to 1 inch as you head into to Julian and Campo. Now, when we look at, okay, what does that do for wildfire season? Well, it temporarily suppresses it, but it takes more rain than that to truly initiate a full grass crop and start to really, put a full seasonal suppression to wildfire activity. So as we heard, it is going to take more rain to really pull us out of wildfire season. And I am glad to say there is more rain in the forecast right now. This is the official upcoming rainfall forecast from the National Weather Service, and this is for the next 7 days. So we did see that they've made great progress, and that the story has been better across Northern California over the last few weeks. And what we're seeing is that it's actually going to turn into potentially a bit of a flooding story here, as multiple atmospheric rivers move into Northern California, and in many cases drop several inches, if not a foot of rain in some of the areas impacted by some of the fires. And we won't see as much down here in San Diego, but the latest forecast from the National Weather Service is showing, we could see ½ inch, maybe 1 inch up in our wettest areas. So there is the potential for some more rain. But I want to remind you, last year, right around Halloween, we got over 2 inches of rain across much of the backcountry of San Diego. And then it didn't rain again for 5 weeks. And then a very strong Santa Ana wind ended up impacting our region the beginning of December. And we ended up in red flag warnings. And ultimately, it ended up a very critical fire weather time for us. So just because we do see some rain this week, I just don't want folks to think, oh, fire season is over. We need to keep our preparedness, right? We need to continue to look at this possibility that if we don't see a continuous, regular frequency of rainfall, it's just a matter of weeks this time of year, right? Or a month until the conditions can be right back to where they were without the rain. but the official fire season outlook, which I have here, I put the forecast from the National Weather Service, is, you know, they are predicting warmer and drier than normal overall as we head through the next 3 months. So that being the case, we do have to, you know, continue, even though we're going to see some more rain here in the next week, continue our preparedness and really maintain that high level of readiness as we head through the fall, right? And then just hope that we continue to see more bouts of rainfall to kind of reinforce the benefits that we're seeing from the early season rain. I did want to transition over to the web, and it looks like we may be seeing that. I'm going to quickly transition over, and yes, transitioning over to the web. What we are seeing now is, I did want to share the air quality index. This is the Air Now website. And again, I know we saw this from Captain Lowry, right? Very beneficial. I also wanted to add the San Diego County Air Pollution Control District. This is a tool that we use at SDG&E to try to ensure that all of our field workers have everything that they need in terms of their N95 masks if we start getting into some of these higher ratings. So did want to point people out because it gets you very granular on our different neighborhoods all across the San Diego service territory in the San Diego area. So again, wanted to bring that out. Now, I know some of you can be very technically focused. So this is a meteorology tool, but for those of you that really want to track where the smoke is going, this is HRRR, High Resolution Rapid Refresh. And this is a model from NOAA, right, from the National Weather Service, that's predicting where smoke will be going over the next 48 hours. So when you can let you do a Google search, but just wanted to let you know these tools are out there. And if you go digging, you can find them. Again, High Resolution Rapid Refresh. This is smoke, and you can look smoke at the surface, smoke aloft, and you can really get into some of the details and start to track when do we anticipate, you know, smoke potentially moving into our region. Now, I did want to expand and talk to this group a little bit about public safety power shutoffs. So here in San Diego, and on behalf of SDG&E, as a meteorologist and fire scientist, we track fire potential very closely. And when we do find extreme instances where there is an imminent risk to life and property if power lines start any wildfire ignitions, and that could be trees falling over into power lines, trees blowing into power lines from sometimes hundreds of feet away because of the strong winds, we could initiate a public safety power shutoff. And to learn more about those programs, I did want to point out SDG&E's public safety power shutoff website. You can get lots of information that you need, but specifically for this discussion, I wanted to point out that we have a medical baseline program at SDG&E. And what it is you can look for those of us who depend upon devices to, you know, help us breathe, help us sleep, help maintain our health. And our medical capabilities. You can register for us and you can apply for this. And what this does is this increases the communications that we have with you. If we ever are going to implement a public safety power shutoff, we will make sure that we get in touch with you in advance. And if we can't get you on the phone, we'll even drive somebody to your door just to make sure that you understand that we're coming into a period of critical fire weather conditions here in San Diego. And then additionally, this will qualify you for additional programs that if you happen to be in a place very prone to public safety power shutoffs, we'll reach out to you about other offerings and other programs that you may qualify for. So I would encourage anybody who is reliant on machines to maintain your health, look at this medical baseline program. Additionally, I did want to point out community resource centers. if we do experience a public safety power shut off in San Diego, we do have community resource centers. And at these centers, we offer resources such as water, Wi-Fi, medical device charging, snacks, ice, car power inverters, so that you can start leveraging your car to charge your critical devices, so on and so forth. So I did want to point that out additionally. And then as a meteorologist, I also wanted to share with you some of the tools that we have to maintain situational awareness. And it's available to everybody. So I'd encourage you to go to sdgeweather.com. And what's happened is over the last decade, SDG&E built what was the largest utility weather network anywhere in the world. We've installed over 220 weather stations all across San Diego County. And this is to very granularly measure wind speeds on every ridge, every valley, every canyon, every mountaintop. And with this information, you can get all of it at sdgeweather.com. And you can also then go in and dive into all of these weather stations, all 220, and get the detailed weather information right for your neighborhood. So on this one, it's Barrett Junction. And in this particular area, in addition to all the historical data that you have for your neighborhood, you can see the windiest locations, the driest, the hottest in the county, the coldest up on the mountaintops. And then even here, a very technology and data-driven AI-based forecast to anticipate and predict how windy is it going to be in your neighborhood moving forward. And again, this is all publicly available, and it's the same tools developed by our meteorologists and data scientists to help inform how we safely operate the electric system. So in addition to all this weather information, I also wanted to point out Mountaintop Camera Network. Now, we have worked closely with CAL FIRE, with UCSD, with Scripps Institution of Oceanography to build out this Mountaintop Camera Network. And this gives us the ability in real time to stream high-def information from mountaintops all across San Diego. It is a beautiful evening across San Diego right now. I just zoomed into the mountaintop up in the top of Palomar Mountain, and we're looking down at the La Jolla Tribal Nation right now. Could actually see they're starting to green up a little bit across this region. And we can also come in and take a look at some of the power line infrastructure. But this is a tool that not only is available to us, it is available to CAL FIRE. And whenever we see CAL FIRE using this to gain situational awareness, what we end up doing is we go to the next closest mountaintop, zoom in, and we triangulate exactly where the incident is. But a very valuable tool. But again, if you search up alert wildfire, you can have access to all of these cameras. Now, everybody can't move them, but you can all see live just what the fire agencies and what SDG&E are looking at and monitoring, so that you can start to keep a bird's eye view on the situation. And the technology here is that we can put AI smoke detection on top of this. This was just a little grass fire that burned today, but you could quickly see as soon as the smoke went up, this little blue box was an AI detection algorithm that is very quickly identifying any smoke on the horizon. So the reason I share this is to let you know that San Diego and our region is as sophisticated and is taking as many advancements in terms of our ability to anticipate and prepare for wildfire than any other region really in the entire world, when it comes from the weather network to the situational awareness to the cooperation and collaboration of agencies. I truly believe that we are a global leader here in San Diego. Just the cooperation post 2003 and 2007. And, you know, to that end, one of the things I wanted to share with you is kind of the leading edge of fire behavior modeling capability. If any fire does start in San Diego, we have the ability now through this software, which is originally developed and created through SDG&E, and now one that's been adopted by CAL FIRE and other utilities across the West. But it can anticipate how any fire would grow, what the potential impact would be. We can even incorporate impact analysis to look at when and where it would impact any building, places, different utility infrastructure assets. So certainly some very leading edge technology right here in San Diego, and we are the place that's driving that next level of fire science, data science, climate science, and our community works so closely together to really ensure the safety of our region. So with that, I will stop sharing and ultimately appreciate the opportunity to be here. And with that, I'll hand it back to Captain Lowry.
Hi, sorry about that. I was unmuting myself. Thank you, Brian, so much for all of that. I know we're a little bit short on time, Dr. Morris. I know it's we're almost there, but did you want to add anything?
Yeah, well, yeah, thank you very much to all the presenters. And I think we have a few minutes left for questions. And so I'll invite all of the mission committee members who would like to join in. I see Dr. Welch is there. Dr. Wong is here as well. And I'll start off by asking Brian, we do have some patients that require things like home mechanical ventilators or oxygen concentrators, that they really have a desperate need to keep those things turned on. And if they were to register, what sort of protection could they expect? What and besides just notifications?
Well, so there's a couple programs that we have. And one in particular for those customers who do live in our high fire threat district and are prone to the potential for public safety power shutoffs, we have what we call generator grant programs, where our medical baseline customers are offered it's a Yeti 3000. It is a high powered kind of renewable battery that could really, in some cases, could cover a small fridge for a couple days, right? So there's a lot of power there. And it does come with a solar adapter to recharge it using solar energy. So that is one of the benefits of joining the medical baseline program, is that you then become eligible for one of these batteries.
That's great. And could I ask you to send that information to us so that we could post it up on our website?
Yeah, we can absolutely send the medical baseline information and then information on these programs for those who are eligible. Great.
May I ask a question too of the firefighters? We hear a lot about containment percentages, and I'm just curious about what exactly is that? Is that the amount of the circumference where you have a space where the fire can't spread, or what is it? What is the difference between 93 and 94% contained?
So I'll take this, Brent, just real quick. So the containment is where there is a solid dozer line, 6 feet, 10 feet, whatever is determined by that incident commander and the collaborative efforts of all the people involved in running that fire. What they decide upon, that thickness of the dozer line plus a wet line around the entire incident. So fully, if you can imagine, fully encapsulated.
Okay. And Dr. Wong, Dr. Welch jumped right in here, but well, while we're waiting, perhaps you could tell us just a little bit about, I was intrigued by when you were both the firefighters were mentioning air conditioners and recirculation. I'm not sure that was completely explained. So maybe just for the public, why an air conditioner rather than just roll your windows down? What does an air conditioner do for you?
So when you have particular filters that you're supposed to change about every 6 months, some more than others that live in high dust areas, but that filter is just going to offer you another layer of protection from the air that's coming in that home. So if you do have a fire around in the area, the wind's blowing, you can smell it, shut your windows, turn on your recirculating fan, turn on your AC. It's just going to give you another layer of protection. So also too, if you have heavy smoke in the area, try to block all the doors. If you have windows that aren't sealed properly, the old windows that double hung, stick a wet towel up in there and try to block any airflow that you have coming in.
So I'm imagining then that the recirculating means that the air that's existing in the room just kind of moves around. So you're not really sucking in air from the outside. And of course, there's plenty of oxygen in a room that you could just recirculate that for hours and hours and hours, and there would never be a problem. Correct?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
I'm wondering if you know, it's kind of a depressing topic, to tell you the truth, you know, to see these pictures of these giant flames and the things that happen to the air quality. Is there anything that can be done? I know that you know, you can always you know, do political things, but is there anything that can be done locally that could help contain this? I imagine that water conservation is important, right?
Absolutely, and I know if Marcy's on here too, just the abatement that can happen. It depends if it's city property or not city property. There's a lot of rules and regulation that unfortunately go into that. But if it's on your property, you're allowed to trim and prune. So, and I can let Marcy take that, but there's not a lot, unfortunately, you can do. They do prescribed burns. That's about it.
Hey, Tim.
Yeah.
I have a question. This is Mike Welch. You showed the Lake Tahoe fire and it's almost fully contained. And I'm going there actually in a few days. From an air quality standpoint or otherwise, is there any residual effects that occur after the fire where, you know, there's issues related to your health after a fire has been fully contained? Is there anything, you know, that I would worry about as I went to a location where there had been a big fire?
I would definitely check that website and check your air quality. And if you're one of those that are you know, you do have asthma or other lung conditions, if it's 105 or higher, I probably wouldn't do outside activities. But when the wind does pick up in areas like that, there's a lot of ash, and you're going to smell it too for months on end. But that ash will get kicked up with a slight breeze. So, and remember, stumps and everything, those are all little piles of ash now, so that all gets aerated and goes in the direction of the wind. So
there can be some air quality issues even weeks after the end,
yes,
the end of a fire. The other question I had is for Brian. You know, it's a difficult decision, I'm sure, on SDG&E's part in calling whether or not power is going to be shut off in the backcountry. I mean, this is kind of always in the news. So without spending a lot of time, can you tell us how you make that decision? I would imagine you're involved in that decision. So what are the big factors that you determine that make the call that power is going off?
Yeah, it's a great question. To simply state it, one, we need to make sure the fire environment is conducive for rapid fire growth. So we collaborate with the National Weather Service, with the fire agencies through tools like the Santa Ana Wildfire Threat Index, the Red Flag Warning Program, and then an internal tool that we've developed called the Fire Potential Index, which looks at fuel moistures and then even uses satellite data to track the greenness of the grass and other components. Then we use our weather network where we look at wind speeds. And because we've been collecting 10-minute wind speeds for over a decade, we now know what is the 99th percentile wind for every neighborhood. So we take the top 1% of winds that we've measured over 10 years, and that's when we put that as an alert speed. And if those top 1% of winds align with these other factors, then looks like not in all cases, but in a lot of cases, we could implement a public safety power shutoff. That being said, last week, we hit 70 miles an hour in the backcountry of San Diego. But because of the recent rainfall that we have seen, the fuel moistures weren't at the point that it supported a public safety power shutoff. So what we did is we moved linemen into that area to visually inspect that there was no damage, because we were anticipating winds of almost 70. You might remember it got hot and dry last week with a Santa Ana, but we did not have to implement public safety power shutoff because all the factors didn't line up.
Interesting. So it's many variables put together.
Many variables, including, are there fires burning up north that are drawing down firefighting resources? Have winds grounded all air suppression? Is there active fires burning? Yeah, so there's lots of factors.
Wow.
And to tag on to that, when they're looking at that, we get all the same data, so we all collaborate. So we'll actually start staffing more apparatus. And we go into different staffing patterns like Cal Fire does, the Forest Service, some of the other areas. So we can have multiple resources ready to go. Back, I think it was 2017, I believe, when the winds, it was in December, the winds hit, like it was critical for about, I think it was 10 days. We staffed everything that had 4 tires. We did a full entire callback for everybody. We brought everybody back into the department. We put 4 firefighters on lifeguard vehicles, put some hose on it, and we were out there. So it's definitely a collaborative effort to ensure that the public has the best response and safety.
Yeah, and to your point, that became the largest public safety power shutoff to date that we had. We were fortunate enough in the backcountry of San Diego not to have any ignitions, but as we know, the Lilac fire ignited along the 15 and impacted portions of Bonsall, even into the inner portions of Oceanside during that event.
For those who are at risk for one of the power shutoffs, who do need medical devices, you had mentioned the community resource centers. Is that a place where they should know about, which one is in the neighborhood, and should they go there? Is that a good place to plug in?
Yes, community resource centers, we have all the means and the ability to charge any device. And in addition to being able to charge anybody's device there, we also provide car inverters so that you can put the inverter into your car and maybe even use your car battery to start charging. And even at this point, we're even doing mobile EV charging, right? We're really trying to provide the resources that people will need to weather the storm, so to speak.
Great. And Dr. Wong, I believe, is on the line as well. She had a question or two.
Thanks, Tim. I just wanted to add a couple of points. When you're purchasing an air filter, sometimes I have patients ask me about these ozonators or ozone generators, which can sterilize the air, they claim, and really would caution our patients, especially with lung disease, not to buy these type of air filters, since they can actually trigger asthma in some cases. The other thing I would really encourage patients especially is to talk with your doctors about having a supply of medications available and what to do in case you do have an exacerbation triggered by exposure to smoke or what have you, and how to have an emergency supply of drugs. And also they make a portable nebulizer that can run off your, I think they still have car lighters in the in automobiles, but those kind of plugs, it can plug into your car, which can really be handy if you don't have a regular outlet.
Great. Thank you very much, Dr. Wong. Well, it looks like we're just about out of time. So let me thank Dr. Welch, Dr. Wong for joining us from the Mission Committee on our panel. And a special thank you to Captain Lowry. I did say it right this time. I've been thinking about it all hour. and Captain Brainerd, Officer Garcia, and Brian D'Agostino from San Diego Gas and Electric for that really informative talk. And I'll see you all next week when we'll be talking a little bit about the COVID pandemic and its effect on children, adolescents, and college students. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.